Since 2007, the Canadian public has had the rare opportunity to watch a family evolve for nearly 2 decades as the Bartlett-Fleming clan became the expanded Bartlett-Fleming-Morris-Borden clan. When Lou and Amy arrived at the ranch, the latter was only 15. That means she was a year younger than Lou's oldest daughter, Katie, will be in season 18. Longtime viewers watch Amy arrive at the ranch as a young teen grieving the death of her mother and grow into a young adult, wife, mother, and, at the beginning of season 14, devastated widow forced to deal with single motherhood after the untimely death of longtime character T. Graham Wardle. This episode finds Amy navigating and developing a romantic relationship with Nathan, while Lou, Jack, and Tim deal with the stress of a water scarcity and price beef competition. Katie sets out on a novel and imaginative journey, while Logan encounters a challenge that puts his allegiance to the ranch to the test. Just 1 week had passed since the events of season 17, and Heartland Beef was starting to suffer the consequences of its earlier choices. As you may recall, during the Heartland season 17 finale, Lou, Jack, and Tim went to the Garland Foods headquarters to propose a new idea. However, the relationship with Garland Foods broke down when the company's new CEO fired them before Lou could even begin her pitch, claiming that Heartland Beef could exist without Garland Foods. Since they are now without their primary distributor, Lou is motivated more than ever to maintain the company's viability and safeguard Heartland's history. Lou was in her element during the entire episode, searching for fresh approaches to promote and sell their goods. It became particularly significant to her, Jack, and Tim upon learning that Price Beef had taken Garland Foods right out from under their nose and was now Garland's primary supplier. Heartland Beef suffered a great deal as a result, but Lou was much more motivated to make it work. Additionally, she was able to identify 2 significant commercial potential. First, Lou contacted Sunrise Calgary, a well-liked morning program that expressed interest in featuring a piece on the Heartland cookbook. They even requested that they prepared Jack's well-known beef stew live on the program. However, there was a catch. They want Jack to be the one preparing the stew since they believe a cowboy would look more intriguing and, consequently, be more popular with their audience. Naturally, Jack at first balked, wanting to avoid the limelight. However, Lou was able to convince Jack to give it some thought. Second, Lou was able to persuade a manager of a Canadian hospitality firm with a chain of eateries to consider Heartland as their sole supplier of beef. The only issue was that Heartland would have to supply bison in addition to beef, which is problematic because Heartland Beef does not raise bison. Lou felt certain that they would be able to begin breeding bison. She even created a thorough budget that included all of the costs. But the bison concept was immediately dismissed by Jack and Lou, which meant that the agreement with the hospitality firm was also off the table. Lou was furious about that. She was unaware, though, that the Heartland was actually experiencing a severe water scarcity, which was the real reason Jack and Tim wouldn't even consider raising bison. In order to calm Lou down, Jack didn't want to inform her about their diminishing water resources. However, Lou later understood why the 2 cowboys were so opposed to her bison concept when they revealed to her their low groundwater levels. Fortunately, it also served as the impetus for the 3 company partners to have some much-needed honest conversations. At last, Jack and Tim realized that Lou meant business when she said she was going into the cattle business, and they had to treat her as such. At the end, Jack even consented to perform the part on the morning program. The family gathered in front of the TV to watch Jack's TV appearance at the conclusion of the show. Even though Jack made a few mistakes during the program, it was ultimately a hit because of his inherent charm. Observing Lou give Heartland Beef her all was one of my favorite parts of this show. Lou was tenacious, and it paid off, from rounding cattle and doing chores with Jack and Tim to discovering new markets and opportunities for their beef. To what far Lou, Jack, and Tim are ready to go to ensure the survival of their business will be fascinating to watch, since the ranch may be going through one of its most difficult seasons yet due to the drought. Amy was working with a client horse, as was the case with every Heartland episode. This time it was Stetson, Tim's rodeo school horse, a once great roping horse who was having trouble competing in the arena. After giving Stetson some time to be tested and worked with, Amy and Logan came to the conclusion that Stetson might benefit from a career change. While he might not be suitable for rodeo life at this point, he is still a valuable working ranch horse. But getting Tim to agree to this wasn't an easy feat. Tim even told Amy that he couldn't afford to retire Stetson from the rodeo circuit, firmly refusing to admit that the horse's greatest days were behind him. By the end of the episode, though, Tim had accepted Amy's suggestion and had discovered the ideal new position for Stetson, becoming Lou's new ranch horse. Lou was seen borrowing horses from Amy or possibly Lindy in Heartland's season 18 episode, one to help with ranch tasks, which was obviously unsustainable. Lou will therefore be able to ride her own ranch horse anytime she pleases. All the parties involved benefited from it. And these 2 sweet gestures from the 2 cowboys, Jack agreeing to appear on the morning show, as well as this one, not only demonstrated their maturity, but also seemed to indicate that Lou is now officially a part of Heartland Beef. Amy and Nathan had a lengthy conversation during the show. There is no denying their connection, but it wasn't without its problems, some of which were brought to light in this episode. They had just been together for a week when we had last seen them in Season 17, Episode 10, Cloud Gazing, and their relationship was essentially at the same stage as it was at the conclusion of Season 17, slowly developing. It was therefore not shocking when Nathan asked Amy out on a formal date. But things became complicated very soon. Amy decided that Nathan should not pick her up for their date at the ranch when Tim, Jack, and Lou learned that Price Beef had taken over their contract with Garland Foods. The first issue arose from the competition between the two family-run enterprises. After that, their planned date was called off when Nathan had to take his dog Molly to the doctor after she was kicked by a cow. But Amy experienced Nathan's cautious nature once more when she visited his home that evening to check on him and Molly. This leads to the second issue, which is Amy's suspicion of Nathan's reticent demeanor, particularly in light of her interaction with Finn. Amy appeared receptive to the concept of being closer to Nathan during the episode, but every time Amy attempted to encourage him to do so, Nathan would withdraw. Amy was so irritated with Nathan that night when she went to visit him because he changed the topic rather than telling her what was truly bothering him. Even yet, they shared some precious moments such as when Molly refused to herd cattle following her accident, and Amy helped Nathan work with her on sheep instead. Or when Amy recommended that Nathan compete in a sheepdog event to boost Molly's self-esteem and then assisted him in getting over his anxiety prior to his turn. But Amy was starting to doubt their developing relationship as a result of Nathan's emotional inaccessibility. It was made even clearer when Tristan, Nathan's former wife, the same one who had cheated on him and had him square off dating completely before they had met Amy, showed up the same competition alongside her new husband. The fact that it reopened previous scars made Nathan visibly shaken, and Tristan's brief chat with Amy further strengthened Amy's worries about Nathan's emotional barriers. By the end of the episode, Amy had rejected Nathan's advances on another date after speaking with Lou, who had counseled her to believe her instincts about him. Thus, it appears that Amy has made the decision not to pursue a relationship with Nathan, at least not just now. Although a romantic relationship could potentially blossom, Nathan's unwillingness to express his emotions could prove to be a turning point for Amy. Logan also had a rather intriguing plot in this episode. In Heartland Season 18, Episode 1, Logan was firmly back at the ranch assisting Amy with client horses after the unpredictability of the previous season. But now he was in a new situation. Logan needed additional money to fix his broken-down truck. Naturally, Amy volunteered to pay his advance early. However, after informing her that he would require 5 of those to pay for the repairs, Logan was left with little option but to look for part-time work elsewhere. Unfortunately, that's somewhere else at Price Beef. And Tim was not thrilled about this, as you may understand. When Tim learned of Logan's new employment, he approached him and offered him a deal. In exchange for Tim keeping Jack in the dark about Logan's employment with their chief rival, Logan would spy on Price Beef and gather intelligence. Logan had little choice but to comply since, even though he found spying uncomfortable, he didn't want Jack to learn more about his job at Price Beef. However, Tim's optimistic plan was short-lived since Logan was dismissed shortly after. Logan was fired after it was discovered that he had been so anxious about the entire spying operation that he had accidentally backed a tractor into a fence. But everything worked out nicely in the end, and Tim and Logan even shared a heartfelt moment. After Logan told Tim what had happened, Tim not only promised to fix Logan's truck, but also advised him to stay in the family by coming to work at the rodeo school the next time Logan needed extra cash. It appears that several Heartland characters are dealing with financial difficulties this season. I wonder if Logan's backstory was unique in this instance, or if we will be seeing more of him and his difficulties this season. In Season 18, I would definitely love to see Logan develop even more. It makes sense that Katie, who has been pursuing her love of writing for the past several seasons, would set off on a fresh path of creative self-discovery in this episode. A woman entered Maggie's at the beginning of the episode to put up a flyer for a creative writing class she was teaching at the neighborhood library. Katie took an immediate interest in it. When it came time for her to attend the class, though, she discovered that it was intended for people who were at least 18 years old. That's why Katie left the library before the class started. However, it appears that Katie truly drew the attention of the instructor, who even offered Katie Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier to read after noticing Katie reading Wuthering Heights by Charlotte Bronte when she first entered Maggie's to put up a flyer for her writing class. With that as motivation, we saw Katie returning to the library at the end of the episode and staying for the lesson this time. She incorrectly responded to the teacher's question when no one else offered to. The only issue is that the teacher appears to believe Katie is older than 18 because upon her initial visit to Maggie's, Katie identified herself as the diner's assistant manager, leading the teacher to believe Katie was enrolled in college. Because it demonstrates Katie's increasing independence and desire to pursue new hobbies, I enjoyed this plot for her. I'd only hope that her inability to completely explore her artistic talents won't be hampered by the fact that she isn't 18 and the teacher doesn't yet know this.